Ah, bueno, vamos a empezar, si os parece bien. Vamos con un cuartito de hora de retraso, supongo que tampoco afectará al desarrollo general de las sesiones. Ah, la primera de las sesiones que hemos programado para hoy tiene como actor principal y único a Karl Jones. Karl es profesor en la John Moores University en Liverpool, aunque él es galés y muy orgulloso de ser galés. I'm telling them that you are Welsh and very proud of this condition. And he's an expert on many things, and amongst these many things, he's an expert on detection programs, software that it's aimed to detect plagiarism in some senses. So I left you with him. He will make his speech, of course, in English, because if he does it in Gaelic, I'm sure that no one will understand a single word. And well, he has something like 45 minutes, around 1 hour. Is it okay? And then I'll hope that there will be thousands of questions jumping onto you. So here you are, and you have all your time.
Thank you. I'm glad Ruben said I'm an expert in detection. The last time I was introduced, they said, here's an expert on cheating. I didn't know whether that was good or bad, but I swiftly moved on. Right, well, because Ruben said I'm Welsh, Bore da, sud wyt ti heddiw is a traditional greeting in Wales. Nobody will understand it. There's something like 3 million of us speak it in the world. Most of them live in Patagonia. Only 1 million people in Wales speak Welsh. It's great to be a minority in your own country. As Ruben said, I'm from John Moores University in Liverpool, and I should recognise some of my colleagues who've helped me become this expert. Rebecca, who's also an engineer, Juliet, who's a psychologist, Nick Heap from the Open University, more on them later, and Setso Vasilev from the University of Rusa in Bulgaria. And we've also been helped by guys in Puerto Rico and Malaysia, so we know about cheating all over the world. Right, I'll do this like a proper lecture. Who is that? Hands up if you don't know who he is. Well, he's not who you think he is. He is the world's most famous plagiarist. He used a known plagiarised report as a rationale for the United Kingdom to enter war with Iraq, and got away with it. And that's one of the problems that the world suffers from. Certain people can cheat, and it's okay. No, it's not okay. Unlike many other people who deal with cheating, and I keep using the word cheating because it covers everything that's wrong, historians, well, it doesn't matter if you cheat in history or in geography. Well, partially it is. If you cheat, you are not learning. And that's what most students go to university for. That's what most professors are doing research for, to learn something new. So that's not good. But worse than that, cheating can lose you your job if you're ever caught out. Lydia told yesterday about one of her former colleagues, but he managed to retire before getting caught. But professors in Pakistan, the United Kingdom, Greece and the USA have been caught and lost their jobs. But that's nothing compared to the Twin Towers in America. Certainly the terrorists might have flown the planes into the building, but the reason the buildings collapsed is because one of the engineers who designed the building made a fundamental mistake in how much protection, fire protection, you put on the metal. So when the fire burnt, the building collapsed. We don't know if he was a cheat or not. I would argue that if he was a good engineer, he would not have made the mistake. He must have been a bad engineer, and a bad engineer is probably a cheat. So 3,000 people lost their lives, possibly through a cheating engineer. Other things for you to think about. Is cheating good? Think about that next time you're on a plane and imagine that it's one of my students who cheated on the equations on how to get the aircraft wing the right dimensions. Do you want that person out there? But what is cheating? Well, there's plagiarism, which is what most of this seminar is all about. Copying other people's work of any shape or form. Not just the written word, not just pictures, but their ideas. It's also plagiarist activity. Then you've got collusion, where students work together to do an individual assignment. No, it should be your work. You should fail because you are useless. You shouldn't pass because you cheated. Falsification. Many people have done this one. Making up your data. Quite a few doctors have done it. Quite a few engineers have done it. One famous one in America got lots of research money for making up his data. It's just as evil. Replication, sometimes known as self-plagiarism, where you submit the same piece of work that you've done somewhere else to another professor and hope you can get away with it. Cheating in examinations. I have a colleague who's from the former Yugoslav republics, and apparently it was a national pastime to cheat in the exams in Yugoslavia. It was a game. He's great. We let him out every now and again. He finds 3 or 4 cheats in an exam, and then we put him away for another couple of years, and then we bring him out. And that keeps our cheating in exams down to a low level. Obtaining unauthorised copies of exam papers. I'll come to that one in a bit. Talking in an examination. I have students from Greece who they think it's perfectly acceptable to talk during the exam. No, we fail them and throw them out of the country. And then being party to impersonation. There are lots of questions about where are the best universities in the world. Certainly one of the most famous has to be Cambridge University. They had cheats last year and they've admitted to it. They had a student who works in the city centre of London, the financial district, was paid to sit an examination for an undergraduate at Cambridge. They caught him and he was sentenced to 2 years in prison for doing it. And he lost his job in the city and he lost his £5 million bonus on his salary. So even Cambridge gets cheats. One of the other difficult questions though is, when is cheating not cheating? Or is it really cheating? Can you work with friends to do your courseworks? Yes and no. That's called collusion. Unless you work with them to sort of optimise your time. You all go and find one book, photocopy the pages you need to learn from, and then pass the copies between each other. That's okay. Sitting down and writing it? No, that's cheating. Can you mail an internet site for help? Well, it depends. If you email, can somebody help me understand the principal theory of this, is okay. Emailing, can someone answer this question? No. Cheats. Can you ask a professor from another course for help? Well, yes. But do you tell the professor that you're asking him the question, or her the question, for a coursework for another lecturer? That would be cheating. Asking a graduate friend for help on work, is that cheating? Depends if they say where you've made mistakes or just give you the answer. At my university, this is cheating. Knowing that somebody else has cheated but not telling the staff means you are also cheating and we will throw you out of the university. Having paid your £3,000 or more first. We get you to pay, then we say bye-bye. Asking your friends, depends once again what they do with it. Asking your parents, depends who your parents are. If your parents run a cafe and it's an essay on political structures in the Eastern Bloc countries, well, that's fine. If your father is the professor of Eastern Bloc politics, maybe not. Also, knowing students cheat in exams and not telling staff. No, not at my university. Oxford University, that's perfectly acceptable. It is not cheating. So, this is more for the academic staff. Do students cheat? Yes. How much do they cheat? A lot. How often? All the time. Basically, all students cheat all the time on everything. Do we catch them? No. Do we get some of them? No. Don't get most of them, don't get some of them. How many do they actually catch? Well, here's some of my department's figures. We have about 1,200 students in engineering. And the last few years, we caught 40, 24, 22 and 60. I'll come to the yellow column a bit later, why that's different. So we accused that many. How many did we find guilty? Not many the first time round. We get better. So what's the percentage? Anything from 1.8 up to 4.5%. Now, why so many in 2008-2009? Because we now fully utilise the cheat detection software. Plus we've let our Yugoslavian colleague out a lot more, and we've changed the way we assess students so we can catch the cheats like that. Some of our students are known offenders. This is where my university is at fault. You can cheat as many times as you feel like. The penalty is for each offence, not multiple offences. Other universities in the United Kingdom say first cheating, naughty, fail the module. Second, off the course. Third, out the university. Last year we had somebody who offered £450 for an exam paper before the exam was presented to the students. We enjoyed that one. He's now serving 6 months in prison for attempting to bribe an official. We've done a bit of work about what student attitudes are, and there are some national differences. So here we have the United Kingdom. When I say the United Kingdom, it's students who have gone through the United Kingdom system. They may well be overseas from the UK. The Malay group and the Bulgarian group. And they're the big numbers. The Malayans seem to cheat an awful lot more on coursework than they do in exams. The Bulgarians are also quite common cheats. The British, well, they cheat just as much. They just not as much as others. More figures? Oh yes, lots of cheating. Now I'm not trying to say the United Kingdom is brilliant. The cut-off point was 40%. The British are just below that. 1 or 2 more students on the questionnaire, we might have cut over the limit. But you can see that even towards the bottom there, 17.8% of British students think that copying from journals or textbooks or friends is perfectly acceptable. No, that is the pure definition of plagiarism. It is not questionable, it is guilt. This I like. This is the difference between what staff think, the academics, and the students. And I'm looking this way because I can see more academic staff there. Your colleagues will allow students to cheat because some of them don't know what cheating is. The first one, copying material found on a hard disk of a computer into an assignment. Only 89% of my colleagues think that that is cheating. It is a definition in the university's cheating regulations. That is cheating in my place. But 10% of my colleagues think it's okay. I like the fact that 78% of them think copying sentences out of a textbook is cheating, but copying it out of an electronic journal, all of them think it's cheating. Wrong, it's all cheating. So we have a problem as academics of trying to get our colleagues to talk the same language as us, otherwise the students get the wrong impression. It's okay to cheat with you, but it's not okay with you. We also have university rules. This is from various universities across the UK. A second year student who copied data tables in engineering, but didn't say where he got them from. We can tell that they're engineering data tables. They are not private. They have Texas Instruments listed on them, but he didn't say he'd got them from the web, so he failed his degree. At another university, a student found cheating on 3 separate modules, 3 little courses, still got a degree. We're considered quite hard. I like this one. This is for the academics. 74 pages out of 78 were copied from Wikipedia. The student was found not guilty because he'd referenced Wikipedia at the back. Just the bibliography, wikipedia.com. It's okay, we failed him, because 4 pages does not make his own work. So he was found not guilty of cheating and found guilty of being useless as an engineer. We've had students who've filled in answer books and taken them into the exam, hoping to cheat that way. We've had an engineering student who submitted an undergraduate report for his master's dissertation. We had a student from psychology who copied another student's dissertation. The problem was the student had never really met their supervisor, otherwise they would have realised that the report they were copying was their supervisor's report. Is that stupidity or total stupidity? BML is biomolecular and biological sciences. A student there did a fantastic piece of work on a particular species of crab in the River Mersey in Liverpool. Except for one little thing, the size of crabs in Liverpool is about that big. His measurements had them about that big. He copied the data from Caribbean crabs. There was an impersonation. A gentleman impersonated a female. He was trying to impersonate his girlfriend in a mathematics exam in Russia. A whole group of students were failed in Germany for using Bluetooth-enabled calculators in a physics examination. That's at Karlsruhe. They now have a metal cage where all the exams are sat so that nobody can get stuff in. The Australians had a Chinese student who was selling courseworks and would do individual, not plagiarised reports for 200 Australian dollars. They couldn't do a thing about it until they found he'd done somebody's examination. He'd signed the paper as the person he was impersonating. That is a federal offence in Australia. He's now in prison for 10 years. But in America, if you're an academic and you choose to accuse a student of cheating, before the cheating is dealt with, you will be taken to court by the student accused of slander, libel, whatever. So they're now not accusing them as much as they used to. Immanuel Kant says, by a lie, a man throws away and annihilates his dignity as a man. Cheating is lying. Plagiarism is lying. So you have no value as a human if you go and cheat. So on to electronic methods. Well, we all know cut and paste. Yeah. Cut and paste from the web. Oh, I thoroughly enjoy it. Especially being English, because most of the web is in American, and colour is not colour, and night in English is nitty in American, and so we find our students cheating quite quickly. It's great fun. Word processing, they're getting a bit better at hiding it, but I recognised some slides yesterday. You can't find them. I won't tell you how to find them. You're probably the ones who are cheating. Pen drives. Our students leave their pen drives all over the place, and their friends pick up their pen drives and then submit the work. And then we have to say which one did the original and which one did the copy. And using the judgment of Solomon, we fail both and throw both out of the university. It's the easiest way. Excel allows you to falsify data quite easily. We've seen students produce graphs, and there's one number outlying. You click, you drag down, the statistics is done beautifully. No, we give them the data, we know that exists, and if it isn't there in the final report and you haven't written about it, we fail you for being useless. Then you've got places like schoolsucks.com, cheathouse.com, where you can buy reports, mainly for English students, where English is actually American. But if you take one of the reports from here, or coursework from here, put it through Babelfish, you can translate it into most languages, and then just tidy it up where it makes the odd mistake. We've had instant messaging, students cheating that way, except they're really stupid, and we hear their mobile phone going beep beep, beep beep. So we have a rule in the university, any phone that goes off, you fail that exam and every exam you've done that year. So our students don't bother with mobile phones now. In the UK, we're using an awful lot of online teaching and online assessment. Just recently, a famous British composer died, and the Times newspaper went online, looked at his sort of bibliography, or biography on Wikipedia, and printed it. And according to this biography, he'd written a number of songs for the famous group ABBA. Now, if you know ABBA, ABBA wrote all their songs themselves. This guy wrote no pop music whatsoever. So, but Wikipedia is truthful, students say. No, if it's in a book, someone's checked it. It should be correct. If it's on the web, it's a total lie. Where else can students get help? eBay! I'm keeping it simple. The Open University in the United Kingdom is a distance learning university. It never actually meets any of its students. In fact, the city it's based in, it's almost impossible to find the university. It's surrounded by about 200 roundabouts and you can never really find your way in. You have to be given a lift there by somebody who knows the back roads. And they have students around the world. So you have there, in those circles, some of the courseworks that students have done in the past that they're selling on eBay. And you can buy it now for £9.99. Or others, £5. Now this is just one essay. In some cases, in other cases, it's all the essays for one course. And one course might be 1/10 of your degree. So for £10, what's that? Less than €15, that's course one, passed, tick, done, let's move on. It's not just the Open University, there's many universities in Britain, 111 of them at the last count. Here's the University of Plymouth, a psychology degree, everything on the CD. Every lecture note, every coursework, every lecturer's comments back to the student on how they could improve their essay, the final year project report, all there for the cheap price of £6. A whole degree for £6. £3,000 per year, plus what? That's if you're British. If you're foreign, not EU, Croatia, £10,000 per year. So you pay £30,000 and £6, and you would get a degree. And probably a better degree, although this student got a first, the highest you can get. So it's a good degree. But I quite like this from a different point of view. That student is selling it on a CD. So how many copies has he made? And we know students who don't think that way and will buy that thinking, I've got the only one. No, everybody else in your class has got exactly the same CD. So the university will take £30,000 from you and then fail you for cheating. MSc courses, put in dissertation, they're more expensive. Oh yes, there's one in IT, e-commerce, for £14.99. €20. Buy it now. Here's a dissertation for a sports science degree. Just the final dissertation, £7.50. And he's even provided an abstract, so that you can give your abstract to your professor to say, is this a good project for me to undertake for the next 9 months, and then submit it at the end. So that's students selling their own work. Then you've got, in the UK, papersforyou.com. We've set up our own, you could say, in the UK because of our different spellings to the Americans. So I happened to put in performance evaluation and sport, and here I got an essay written in 2006, 3,500 words, brief abstract. I can download it, it's mine, submit it. Chances are nobody else in my class will have done it, and I get away with it. Now, is that plagiarism? Nobody answers there, so I'll look at you. No. The way Papers for You works is that as a unique piece of coursework and a unique essay that is sold once. If you buy it and you submit it, that will not be found in plagiarism. It's probably an academic who's written it. We know 3 in the United Kingdom who have retired and are now earning 4 times their university salaries writing essays for students. And they have just the right mistakes to make it a student essay, and just enough not to be caught by plagiarism detection. So it's a one-off production. Yeah. However, it would fall under United Kingdom university rules as falsification or misrepresentation, so you still get found guilty of cheating, if the staff can find it. A little story from the University of Sheffield. I know a lawyer there who teaches French law. Don't ask why French law to British students. There is a reason. She wrote an essay, put it up on a law essay website under her husband's name, set the assignment for the students. 100 students in the class, she got 90 copies back again. And she made over £200 from them buying the essay. She then found them all guilty of cheating. They went to court to say this was entrapment. They lost the court case, they had to pay the court fees, and then they were thrown out of the university. So, academics, professors, enjoy yourselves. Make life fun. If students are going to cheat, catch them by trapping them. It's perfectly legal. Well, it is in the UK anyway. Now, why don't staff find cheats? Well, sometimes they're lazy. Most of the ones you do catch because it is obvious. The level of English that is used, or the level of French or German or Spanish or whatever, student level is here, then suddenly it goes up and then it comes back down. That is not right. So you then type that into Google and you get your answer where they stole it from. And it's very simple. And for English, as I've said many times, the spellings. American spellings, they just jump off the page at us. So that was the traditional way. Well, as classes get bigger and bigger and bigger, it's hard to spot it because you've got less time to do it. So you can put stuff into Google and you will get some answers. So there's one. New ideas, ideals surfaced as answers, and I got all of those essays back. For the academics, what you do is you think of your question, you put your question into Google and see if you get the answer. If you do, change your question until you don't get an answer from Google. Then that's a good place to start by giving it to the students. Use the tools they're going to use. But what if you haven't got time to Google every single essay? Well, you can try other things. There's free resources such as Free Print from Gary Price. where you can put student work and mark it that way. Certainly at my university there is no requirement that students have to write essays. We can get them to submit it electronically. So they send you the Word document. That's wonderful. In fact, you insist that they send it by Word, and anybody who submits it on paper fails. Because part of the marking scheme is, was it submitted electronically? No, fail, 0, bye-bye. Once you've got it electronically, oh, you are now totally in control. So you can use preprint. There's other specialised search engines. We haven't even got to the cheat detection yet. The problem with Google is it's a very surface search engine. You want the deep web, as it's called, which is hard to get to. No, Complete Planet, Direct Search, Invisible Web, Profusion, Search.com all help you get deeper into the web. Now, if you can't find a student's piece of work on Google and in any of these deeper web systems, you've probably got a student who is good at cheating. I never assume that they've written it themselves. It's just, where have they got it from? Everyone is guilty until found innocent, in my world. On a different angle, in the United Kingdom we've got JISC, the Joint Information Science Committee, I think it is. It's a government-funded body to help academics, every university across the United Kingdom, every college and every school, improve its IT systems. So this provides us with our free internet access, sort of like 20 gigabits per second. And it does reviews for us. So they looked at plagiarism detection software and code detection software. If you're from computing or engineering, you're more likely to get students to write computer programs, and they will cheat on that as well. So you stick it into a specialised software-based software detection system. They've tried it out and given us ideas on how to use it. The ones they used were Copycatch, Eve, Find Same, Turnitin, WordCheck, and each has its own particular requirements. Copycatch is great for collusion, when students work together to produce unique work, not plagiarised, but they copy within the team or the group. Eve is fantastic for cut and paste, so is Find Same, WordCheck is collusion. Turnitin does seem to be about the best system. It finds just about everything. Not quite everything though. So, South Bank University, part of this JISC group, looked at the source code or computer software systems. And they reviewed MOS and JPlag, and if there's any computing people, come and talk to me later, I'll talk more about that. These are some of the detection software systems: Turnitin, EduDite, MyDropbox. You can go and play with them. They've got free trials if you want to play. So PlagiServe is quite a nice easy one. 12 hours, so you submit the work in the evening, come back in the morning, and your office has the answer. How many of the class cheated? I would say all. And it's free. Eve strips the formatting, uses slightly more advanced tools, but does not search these paper mills, the schoolsucks.com type groups. So you can still get students passing through the system. But Eve is fairly cheap. One-time cost of $19. And if your university can't afford that, why? And just say to the Vice-Chancellor or the Chancellor or whatever your top person is, do you want to be on a plane that's been designed by a cheat? $19, please. Or do you want your child or your grandchild treated by a doctor who cheated? They soon give you the money. There are some limitations to Eve. It ignores punctuation, so quotation marks can result in false hits. If a student has quoted, Tony Blair says, quote, "War with Iraq is inevitable," end of quote, that is not cheating. Eve would say it is. So you have to then read it and go, no, it isn't. And if you run it 3 times, you'll get 3 different answers for the same piece of work. But it's nice and cheap, it's a good entry level, you get an RT, a rich text format thing on your hard disk. Copy find from the University of Virginia, similar sort of thing, tells you where to find it on Google. Yeah, it's okay, not fantastic. Turnitin. This is the sort of the big boy. It's what my university use. But it does have some problems. So I'll go through that. That's how it works. There's a student database. All the work is submitted to that. It's checked internally first against the class, then against the national database. We have data laws in the United Kingdom, so we can't use the American database. We have a UK one. And then it checks the whole web. It even checks the journals which your university may not have subscriptions to. But Turnitin have an agreement, and so it goes in and finds them. So you can then say you got it from there. But if your student can get to it, you wonder how. Here's a class of 115 of my students. Only 113 submitted online. The other 2 failed because they gave it on paper. And that's how much of their work was copied. So you can see that 3 of them, every single word. I'll give you an idea how bad that is. They even copied their name from the person that had originally done the work. I don't know whether that is copying or stupidity. Surely you know your name. All the way down to, and the one at the end, not a single bit of copying. That was quite nice to see, because that was a lecturer from another university doing the course. And if there'd been cheating in there, we would have been worried. But for academics, that's what Turnitin will give you. That's the first few years, oh, not first few years, first few times you use Turnitin, until students realise that, well, we take the 50% point, everybody above 50%, which is roughly 50 students in this class, fail. Next time round, there's a smaller class. And they learn. This is what you get from Turnitin. I've anonymised this, so you get the student name down one side and how much they cheated, graded in red down to blue. Blue means there's almost none being found by Turnitin. So 100%, 100%, 100%, 99. I can tell you what the 99 was. He changed his name. That was all. And down at the bottom, 0%, 2%. Now that sounds great, and they recommend that you click on the work and you have a look at it, and if it's red, it is cheating. There is one issue though, it depends on your subject area. Law is very much a case of quoting legal material, and so you quote huge amounts of text. So of course it will have a high percentage of copied, because it should be. So you can't trust 100% is really all copied material. It's just could be a student's got a perfectly created and referenced piece of work. But roughly speaking, you start with the hundreds and work down until you've had enough, and that keeps you busy. That's what you get on the screen. That's the student's piece of work, and then that's the cheating part. So we have the student's work on the left-hand side and where they copied it from on the right-hand side. So you can click on the number 20, and that would take me to reference 20 within Turnitin with a website address. I click on that and I see where they copied it from. Or I can click on the number 1 and it will take me to the website and show me the material. So we have there 4% of this student's work was copied from another student in the class with ID 1061571. Another 4% was taken from humanevolution.org, 3% from another student in the class. There you have the different colours. So the green comes from one location, the purple is from another one. And on the right hand side I've actually looked at the source material to see what's been copied. And there we have the full sentence, but he's then put a full stop, ended it and moved on to somewhere else. Now 1 or 2 of our students have been given this and said, you cheated taking it from homebtclick.com, and they went, no I didn't, I took it from here. You go, thank you, you're still guilty. Just because we can't tell you the exact source doesn't mean to say it's not cheating. We just have to prove it's not their work. Here's a piece of work that is properly referenced. Nice quotes, with Davenport 1998, beautifully written, lovely. Here's one that isn't. Absolutely no original work whatsoever, except this review, which scores 0. And then some original work. Now if you've got a low score of 0, that student probably isn't cheating. The 100 is, yes, they've cheated. This might be like 40%. So you've then got to go into that student's work, turn it in, and decide, is that 40% copied, referenced, or what? Intelligent cut and paste doesn't matter. It still comes out as 90%, 80%, so you don't care, they're cheating. Now, some of the problems with Turnitin. The algorithm looks at 10 words at a time. It's used to a particular referencing standard. And if the students have used a different referencing standard, but one that is perfectly obvious to you as a marker, then Turnitin will still accuse them of cheating. Originally, it would include the bibliography. Well, I would hope the bibliography has been copied, because I hope somebody else has referenced it some other time. So that should be copied. Quoted material that has been identified as quoted material gets included. So you have to sort of say, take this out. So here's a piece of work, originally 9% copied. When I take out the bibliography, it's down to 2%. When I exclude the quoted, it's 1%. Hey, 1% of copied material, not worth it. Not worth my time, let the student through. The work we've done gives us some of these things that Turnitin doesn't find. False positives, where the work has been referenced, just not, let's say, in the Harvard referencing style. Or cases where you might say, Jones 2003 suggests that Spain is a wonderful place, full stop. He also says that beer is good. Now that, he also states, is referring to the previous sentence and is perfectly acceptable referencing style, not to turn it in. So as the academic, you have to read it and go, no, that bit's okay. I can see what the student is saying, they are not using it as their own, they're saying it's all his fault. Then you've got common English language words. Here's my Welsh. Wales won the Six Nations rugby with a grand slam. That is fact. There are only about 4 ways of it in English of saying that. And if students use that in an essay, it will come back as copied. Well, yes! How else can you say it? But it's not copied. So you have to read it and go, no, I wish to ignore that. Small groups of words, like, it is windy today. Well, it's not really a statement of fact, it's just common language. It's 4 words. Anybody can be accused of cheating on 4 words. And I don't know whether you suffer from it, but quite often our students put the question into the answer. And then that will come back as copied. Because if 2 students do it, then of course one of them will have done it, entered it into the system, and then the other one is copying it. No, it's my question. I don't think they need to reference my question back to me. I know I wrote it. They've just got to answer it. So you do have to do a bit of work. Here's some quoted material that didn't get referenced, that you have to, didn't get excluded, that you have to accept it. So the philosopher John Searle says that the idea of a non-biological being intelligent is incoherent. That's referenced. It's something John Searle said. Okay, maybe the student should have put the year in it, but hey, that's feedback. To improve your essay, you should do this. But he's not quoting it as his work. There's the question, back to me, so yeah, we ignore that. I've also had things like, based on Darwin's theory of evolution, Turnitin said was copied. No. Everybody knows about Darwin. It's even a Hollywood film now. And then the potential, if it's in yellow, Turnitin did not identify it as copied. So the potential from AI technology to society are the of has been copied. Which academic is going to accuse a student of cheating with those words? That is perfectly acceptable use of language and understanding to answer a question. And in engineering, the accuracy of model parameters and determines, if you haven't got at least 20 of those in a report, you'd wonder what the student is doing anyway. So Turnitin is not fantastic. You have to sort of cut a point and say anything below that is going to take my time. I take the big cheats first. Other problems. A student from Southeast University in America quoted the Bible. The Bible is on hundreds of websites around the world, but not all the quotes from the Bible were identified by Turnitin as being copied. Why? You know, I can think of 20 websites with the entire Bible in English in there. Why didn't it find it? And if it's not finding that, what else is it not finding? This was an interesting one. A student had written an essay about Harry Potter. What the Americans do, I don't question, you know. And when they found it, it was on a discussion board. But that could well have been the student's own material. So does the student quote themselves if it's on a discussion board? And this I would look to the staff and say, do you teach students how to reference a discussion board? Or do you stick to the classical Harvard referencing of books and journals? And if you haven't taught the student how to reference a discussion board, can you then find them guilty of not referencing a discussion board? I'll cover that. Quick run through of what the Open University does. 130,000 students, 750,000 assessments. They've got courses with 10,000 students in one lecture. 10,000, like a football match. Well, they produced a system that looks at online submission and compares within the group. They are not looking for cheats from the web. Their students tend to be mature, 40 years old and over. And so they look at, I'll miss off that, that's the sort of engineering diagram of how it works. Theirs looks at commonality between students because all the students are encouraged to discuss things on the Open University's discussion website, and so you find that people steal from each other. And they've got copycat software that identifies it. They can understand this. It tells you who's copied from where and when and how and why. And it gets collusion. They then turn it in for plagiarism, and they do what's known as a double whammy. So students get accused twice and then thrown out of the university. Their processing time for their collusion software for 752 assignments of 25,000 bytes was 340 seconds. So just enough time to go and make a cup of tea. Very, very quick, very, very efficient. But it's on their own dedicated servers. Some myths about cheating. Prevention is the cure. No, well. A myth. Technology can solve the problem. No, it can't. Turnitin is not the answer. Preventing them from cheating is the answer. Give them exams. No courseworks, all exams, oral. So I'll ask you questions on your subject for 3 hours. And if you satisfy me, you then get your degree. If you can't do it, you're not worth it. But that is time intensive. There are issues if you put electronic detection in place. 3 states in America have said it's a breach of their civil liberties. In Britain we say it's a breach of my civil liberty if you kill me because you're incompetent. You have to have a wide approach. You teach students, you educate students, you scare them. You throw a few out of the university just for fun. Every now and again. You make an example of them, it keeps everybody in line. You will see it in your police forces. Every now and again, they will do lots of people for parking in the wrong place. And then the streets have got no cars for the next few weeks. Then the cars build up and you hit them again. You should have an institutional process. It's no good finding them guilty of cheating if the university says, naughty, naughty, don't do it again, and they get a degree. Personally, my colleagues would like to see students hang if they cheat. But We are engineers, we are a unique breed of people. There are websites to help students. This is an interesting concept. PlagiServe teaches you how to reference properly. Avoiding plagiarism shows you also how to avoid plagiarism by teaching appropriate methods. Cheating page is a way, well, it used to have a section where you could upload your report and it would tell you where you'd gone wrong and tell you how to change it so you weren't caught. I'm not sure that that's actually helpful and plagiarism assistance. But they're there, you can use them, students will certainly use them. So what are we doing wrong as academics? We aren't finding all the cheats. Universities don't take it seriously. We heard yesterday what happens in Croatia. No. Everybody who cheats should be ridiculed and embarrassed and be thrown out of society because they are a danger. Remember, I am an engineer. Historians might not be a danger. Who cares? Take the engineers, the doctors, they are the ones who will kill you. And we set the wrong questions. Don't set a question such as the life history of Saddam Hussein. Set a strange question like, how does Saddam Hussein's life contrast with that of Harry Potter? Because you won't find that on Google. So students have actually got to think. And you go one stage further, your question can still extract the knowledge you want the students to demonstrate, but makes it harder for them to cheat. Why get them to write essays? Why not get them to give a presentation on PowerPoint with 3 slides only? What are the key points? Make them give a lecture to their classmates, who can then ask questions. Invite colleagues in, they can ask questions. Staff need training so that everybody speaks the same way. This is cheating, that is not cheating, you do this, we will do that to you. Because if one colleague lets a student get away with it, every student will know about it, and then you are in trouble because you are different. The fact that 99% of your colleagues are like you doesn't matter. You are different to the one who lets them cheat. University systems need to support us. If academics want to find them guilty, the university should support you. And regulations, I don't know what your regulations are like. Ours are written like the worst English laws ever created. We've now rewritten them into student language, text speak, so they can understand exactly what will happen if they do something wrong. Another thought. Cheating devalues the poor student who has done their own work but badly, and they just about get the pass. But that student is of more value to the one who got a higher mark through cheating, because that student has demonstrated what they do know and identified for themselves what they do not know. The cheat does not know what they don't know. And not knowing what you don't know makes you more dangerous than knowing what you don't know. Did you follow that? Good. There is an exam on this later. Thank you. Any questions?
¿Preguntas? ¿Cuestiones a alguien? ¿No? Sí.
Teacher, I'd like to know if this appeal on paper in the base the children, or how can I go for pushing this situation as a teacher, like a teacher or a student? How can role, this program, we know that is a blame, a guilt, but we ask, I don't know how to change this situation.
Okay. It's very difficult to change attitudes and customs. Certainly in the UK, 5-year-old children are now being taught by their teachers to go on the web and copy the information. At university, it's then difficult to stop them doing that custom that they used to. The main thing, I think, is to change the way you give assessments. If you design your assessment carefully, you can get the students to go and use the web. It is a valuable resource. They can read the material, but they present it in a totally different format to what they see. One of my colleagues says, as a slight joke, you get students to read about the history of the Vikings and then do the assessment as a dance. And while that might be a joke, it does point a good idea out. They have to understand to be able to interpret in a dance. And that's what assessment should be about. What do they understand? There's been various work by Oxford Brookes University that says it's the question. You change the question and you remove the laziness, the custom, the ease, the facilities, and you challenge students in a different way.
That is, in principle, the orange is the behavior to change, to try to change the behavior in a base course with the children. I think that is better. And the family, I think that has an important point. The family with the behavior with the children, because when these children, these students are better, more bigger, I think that we can know these in these students. I think that the family is important in this process.
It's sad to say that it's going to be very difficult. You have a youth society where they steal music, they steal videos. So if you try to change their behaviour and say it is not right to steal words from the web, but you're happily letting them steal music through MP3 players and stealing videos through illegal copies, it's a very difficult concept. There's been quite a few psychologists and sociologists have looked into it, and you just have to look at common behaviour. Not many people commit murder, because that is really wrong. But speeding, well, that's not that wrong, is it? And parking where you shouldn't is not that wrong. And it's a similar thing with copying, that it's almost instilled in the psyche of people that taking from the web is okay. And trying to get away from that, they found that it's not that it's impossible, it's just easier not to bother. But if you can do it, good luck.
Any other question? So, well, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
That was a pleasure. And now we'll jump to the following session, which is a roundtable that will be moderated by Dr. Luis Tudela. He belongs to the Department of History. And we have changed a little bit the setting up of the roundtable. And instead of Miguel Pastor, who is the head of the library system in the university, it will be Rafael Bosch, and well, I leave you now with 4 of them, and I hope you enjoy it.